Welcome back! Tonight we're counting down the top 5 most awkward, head-scratching travel fails by American presidents. You think your family road trips are bad? Wait until you hear these. These are the leaders of the free world, with Air Force One, security, and planners, yet things still go hilariously wrong. Some of these blunders sparked international incidents and political fallout that echoed for years. So grab your popcorn. This is a wild ride through the most memorable presidential travel fails in history. Ready? Let's dive in. Kicking off at number 5, we have a story that's just wow. Number 5. Nixon's infamous late-night trip to the Lincoln Memorial. This is one of those stories that sounds almost too bizarre to be true, but it's a real moment in presidential history that left everyone scratching their heads. It's May 1970. The United States is in turmoil. The Vietnam War is raging, the country is reeling from the shocking Kent State shootings, and anti-war protests are erupting on college campuses and city streets across the nation. The White House is under siege, figuratively and sometimes almost literally. Nixon, feeling the weight of the world and unable to sleep, paces the halls in the middle of the night. So, at 4 a.m., he wakes his valet and tells the Secret Service, "We're going to see Abe." No one is quite sure if he's joking, but Nixon is dead serious. He wants to get out of the White House, away from the pressure, and maybe find some clarity, or at least a sympathetic ear, even if it's made of marble. No warning, no security sweep, just the president, his staff, and a handful of stunned Secret Service agents barreling into the night. The agents scramble to keep up, thrown off by the president's sudden, unscheduled adventure. It's the kind of move that would give any security detail nightmares. When they arrive at the Lincoln Memorial, they find a group of student protesters camped out on the steps, exactly the people who have been marching against Nixon's policies for weeks. The air is thick with tension, and the students are shocked to see the president himself walk up to them in the dead of night. Nixon, in a surreal move, tries to chat with them about the war, college football, even surfing. He rambles about his own college days, hoping to find some common ground. The conversation is awkward, meandering, and at times almost incoherent. Nixon seems desperate to connect, but the students are bewildered by the whole scene. The students are baffled. The Secret Service is panicking, worried about the president's safety and the unpredictable situation. No one knows what's going to happen next. Nixon thinks he's building bridges, but to everyone else, he seems out of touch and unstable. The students don't know what to make of him, and his staff is left speechless by the spectacle. The press has a field day. Nixon's weird midnight visit blares across headlines. Reporters can hardly believe the story, and the public is left wondering what exactly their president was thinking. Instead of looking compassionate or relatable, Nixon comes off as erratic, impulsive, and even a little unhinged. The late-night visit becomes instant fodder for comedians and critics alike. The incident cements his image as isolated and paranoid, a leader increasingly cut off from the people he's supposed to serve, and from reality itself. His staff scrambles to explain what happened, trying to spin the story or downplay the weirdness, but the damage is done. The midnight meander becomes a symbol of a presidency under siege. For the Secret Service, it becomes a legendary what not to do story, an example of how quickly things can spiral out of control when the president goes off script. It's a perfect example of how a president's whim, no matter how small or spontaneous, can turn into a full-blown security nightmare and a public relations fiasco. All because Nixon couldn't sleep and wanted to talk to a statue, hoping perhaps for wisdom or comfort from the great emancipator, but finding only confusion and chaos. The fallout? A PR disaster and a lasting symbol of presidential disconnect. The midnight visit is remembered as one of the strangest episodes of Nixon's troubled presidency. Sometimes the most powerful man in the world can be his own worst enemy, haunted by his own doubts, and undone by his own decisions. Nixon's midnight meander, a travel fail for the ages and a cautionary tale about the loneliness of power. You just can't make this stuff up. Sometimes, history really is stranger than fiction. Number 4. Jimmy Carter's disastrous 10K run, a moment that would become infamous in presidential history. Carter always wanted to be seen as the everyman president, someone who didn't put on airs, who carried his own bags, wore cozy cardigans in the White House, and in 1979, decided to join a public 10K near Camp David to show he was just like everyone else. The event was meant to showcase his vigor, relatability, and down-to-earth spirit. Crowds gathered, cameras flashed, and the press was eager to capture the president in action. But the Maryland summer was brutal, hot, humid, and unforgiving. Carter started strong, determined to keep pace, but the lack of hydration and the relentless heat quickly became a problem. Just 4 miles in, disaster struck. Carter's legs gave out, and he collapsed, only to be caught by quick-thinking Secret Service agents before he hit the pavement. The moment was dramatic, and the cameras didn't miss a second. The image of the president, pale, drenched in sweat, and visibly exhausted, was broadcast across the nation. Newspapers ran with the story, and TV anchors replayed the footage on a loop. Instead of looking strong and relatable, Carter appeared frail and vulnerable, a public relations nightmare that no amount of spin could fix. Political opponents wasted no time. They pounced on the incident, questioning his physical fitness, his stamina, and even his ability to lead the country during tough times. The collapse quickly became a defining and some would say unfair metaphor for Carter's presidency, a symbol of struggle and perceived weakness. In reality, Carter was fine, just suffering from heat exhaustion, a common risk for any runner in those conditions. But the political damage was already done. What was meant to be a simple jog turned into a political marathon, one that Carter simply couldn't win, no matter how hard he tried to recover his image. The lesson was clear: when you're president, every move, even a friendly fun run, is scrutinized, analyzed, and sometimes weaponized by the media and your opponents. Carter's 10K became a harsh lesson in the unforgiving realities of presidential image-making, where good intentions can backfire in spectacular fashion. Sometimes trying to look relatable or human can end up making you look weak or out of touch, especially when the cameras are rolling and the stakes are high. For Carter, a run meant to show strength and connection with the people instead became a symbol of presidential vulnerability, a moment that haunted his public image for years. It remains one of the most memorable travel fails in presidential history, a cautionary tale for any leader hoping to connect with the public through physical feats. Tough break for a genuinely good guy whose heart was always in the right place, even if his running shoes led him straight into a PR disaster. Number 3. George W. Bush's mission accomplished moment. It's 2003, weeks after the Iraq invasion. The White House wants a dramatic victory image. Bush lands on the USS Abraham Lincoln in a fighter jet, full flight suit, sunset, cheering sailors. He gives a speech in front of a massive mission accomplished banner, declaring major combat over. The problem? The war was far from over. Insurgency and chaos were just beginning. The banner became a symbol of hubris and misjudgment as the conflict dragged on. Critics slammed the stunt as political theater. Bush could have just taken a helicopter. The White House tried to walk it back, but the image stuck. Mission accomplished haunted Bush's presidency, eroding public trust. Every optimistic update was met with skepticism. The trip meant to be triumphant became a political albatross. It's a lesson. The image you project can backfire if it's not reality. Bush's carrier landing, a travel stunt that aged terribly. Sometimes the optics are more powerful than the words. For Bush, a single trip became a defining blunder, a true travel catastrophe, and a warning for every president after. Number 2. Obama, Ireland, and the day the beast got beached. It's 2011. Obama visits Dublin to celebrate his Irish roots. The presidential motorcade leaves the U.S. Embassy. At the center, the beast, a fortress on wheels. As it tries to exit the embassy driveway, there's a loud crunch. The beast is stuck, front wheels on the street, back wheels in the driveway, undercarriage wedged on the ramp. The president is trapped in his own limo, and the world is watching. The crowd gasps, then laughs. Phones come out, the moment goes viral. Secret Service agents scramble, but geometry wins. Obama and the First Lady switch cars, a tow truck is called. The incident, dubbed the Rampagne, becomes an instant joke. No political fallout, just pure slapstick on the world stage. Even the Irish loved it. It's a reminder, no matter how much planning or tech, a simple ramp can defeat the most powerful motorcade. Sometimes, the world's most secure car can't handle a driveway. For a moment, Dublin pavement beat the Secret Service. A hilarious, humbling travel fail. That's why it's number 2. Number 1. Trump's controversial walk to St. John's Church. This moment would become one of the most talked about and polarizing events of his presidency, sparking fierce debate across the nation and around the world. It's June 2020. The country is in turmoil. Protests over George Floyd's death have erupted in cities nationwide, and Lafayette Square, just outside the White House, is filled with demonstrators demanding justice and racial equality. The air is thick with tension, hope, and anger as people gather, holding signs and chanting for change. Inside the White House, President Trump delivers a divisive speech, vowing to restore order and projecting strength. He then announces he will visit a very special place, leaving the nation and his staff wondering what comes next. Just minutes before Trump's walk, law enforcement officers, clad in riot gear, forcibly clear peaceful protesters from the park. Chemical irritants fill the air, mounted police push crowds back, and chaos erupts as people scramble for safety. The forceful removal shocks onlookers and is broadcast live across the world. With the square now empty, Trump, surrounded by top officials and military leaders, makes his way across Lafayette Square. The walk is deliberate, slow, and heavily choreographed, every step watched by cameras and the public. Arriving at St. John's Episcopal Church, a historic site damaged by fire during earlier protests, Trump doesn't enter or meet with clergy. Instead, he stands silently outside, holds up a Bible for the cameras, and poses for a series of photos. The moment is brief but instantly iconic and deeply controversial. After the photos are taken, Trump and his entourage turn and walk back to the White House. No speech, no prayer, no interaction with the church, just a short, symbolic journey that leaves the world buzzing. The backlash is immediate and intense. News outlets, religious leaders, and even some military officials condemn the event, calling it a misuse of power and a violation of the right to peaceful protest. The Episcopal Bishop of Washington, visibly angry, calls the event a political stunt. She expresses outrage that protesters were forcibly removed so the president could stage a photo op, and her words echo across the country. The walk quickly becomes a flashpoint in an already tense national moment, fueling further protests and deepening divisions between the government and the people. This wasn't a logistical blunder, it was a judgment call, one that many see as a blatant misuse of presidential power and a direct affront to the rights of peaceful protesters. The images of police pushing back citizens in order to clear a path for a photo op are seared into the public memory. The photo of Trump holding the Bible, with protesters' cries still echoing nearby, becomes a defining symbol of division and unrest in America. It's an image that will be studied and debated for years to come. The administration stands by its actions, insisting the walk was about strength and unity, but the controversy only grows, with critics arguing it was a dangerous precedent. What was meant to be a show of leadership instead becomes a lasting moment of debate, outrage, and soul-searching for the nation. The episode shows how even a few hundred feet of presidential travel, just a short walk, can ignite a firestorm and leave a permanent mark on history. For Trump, this was more than a travel blunder. It was a moment that would define his presidency for many, and a decision that still resonates in the national conversation. Presidential travel is never just a trip. Every movement, every destination, every gesture is a statement, sometimes subtle, sometimes explosive. And sometimes, that statement doesn't just reflect history, it changes it, leaving a legacy that endures long after the walk is over. And that's our list. From midnight strolls to beach limos and controversial photo ops, even a simple trip can make history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit subscribe for more wild stories from the presidency. Your support helps us keep making great content. Join our community and never miss a video. Shout out to YouTube Studio for the awesome background music. See you next time. Good night.